Well, hello there, and welcome to Guitar Builder's Life Hack, the show where I show you some of the things that I've made to make guitar building easier for myself. I hope you'll enjoy this show. Let me know in the comments below if you did, and if you think any of these things that I'm showing you are useful to you. Let's go and take a look. When you start making guitars, you're gonna run into some sort of trouble at some point. And one problem that you might run into is that you've made a guitar neck and that you realize that you have to find a way to cut the slots for the frets, and you can't really figure out how you're gonna hold the guitar neck in place and how you're gonna line up and make sure that every cut is perfect. And you might be thinking that I could use something like this, and the problem is that it has a 90 degrees angle. So if you look really closely, you can see that as I move it up, sure, it keeps a line, but the line is not 90 degrees because this surface is at an angle. And it might look to someone like that's perfectly fine, but if you look really closely you can see that that's actually crooked, especially if you look at it on your template that has a straight line going through it. And you can obviously start measuring out with different tools and try to figure out, well, how do I make sure I have a 90-degree angle for every fret? But at some point you're gonna realize that you're spending hours making the fret slots. And at a start, when you're making guitars, maybe that's where you want to be. Maybe you want to spend hours cutting frets to make sure they are perfect. I'm not going to argue with you about that. Making sure your work is perfect is vital. But at some point you're going to ask yourself, okay, but I have to make this faster and make this easier. What I've done is that I've made this. And it's actually just 3 pieces of wood. It is a bottom piece that is a just square piece. It's perfectly 90 degrees in all ways. It has a center line on it for the neck, and the neck fits in between. It's sandwiched in between, and it's basically just, I put this, the way I made it is that I lined up the center line on the middle piece, or the bottom piece, with a guitar neck template, and then I glued 2 brackets, or whatever you want to call them, to the side, and I made sure that they lined up on both sides. And then I cut a angle on one side to make sure it was still 90 degrees, but 90 from the center line, not from the edge of the board. Which means basically that down here, where the neck is thicker than up here, this is thinner, to keep everything in line. And what that does, it allows me to actually get 90 degrees all the way around when I use this. So all I need to do now is basically mark out where every fret is going to go on the neck, and then I can just put the neck in this, line this up with the mark I've done, and start cutting all the little slots that I need. And they will be perfectly 90 degrees all the way down the neck. And it takes maybe 10 minutes to do. I can trust my things, I can check them to make sure that the wood hasn't moved or anything, and if the wood has moved, I can either make a new one, because making one of these takes 10 minutes, or I can shape it if there is just a little bit of movement. And every time I make a neck, I can just check the bottom to the top of this, and check the measurement of the top here to the straight line, and the bottom to the straight line. and make sure that the numbers add up. And if they don't, I know that something's happened. And that's how you can make a super tiny thing that is cheap to make. You can make it out of scrap wood. It doesn't take a lot of time. It takes maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes if you don't really know what you're doing. And then you can use it to make a process that can take hours of guitar making into minutes of guitar making. When I build my guitar for the Great Guitar Build-Off, I cut all the frets under 5 minutes. And that guitar neck is perfect. So maybe you could use this. Well, there's the show. I hope you liked it. Let me know if you did. And also, if you wouldn't mind giving this a thumbs up, or maybe even subscribing. That would let me know if this is appreciated, and if you want to see more of this. But until next time, see ya.